DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, I'm going to give you a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why Dre Baldwin, why I am not a politician. I'm going to lay this out and explain it because, first of all, in episode 1667, I already told you why I would fail in politics. And today's episode and the next two, I'm going to go into more depth about why I would not make for a very good politician. Even though when I do my live streams, again, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern on all platforms that allow for streaming. So all your favorite social medias, whichever one you want, from LinkedIn to YouTube to Instagram to TikTok to Facebook to Rumble to X. And there's one more I'm forgetting, but all of those, TikTok, all of those streaming platforms, I do a stream 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, Eastern time. But anyway, when I'm doing those streams, sometimes people in the audience say, Dre, you would make for a good politician. Whenever I happen to mention politics and I tell people some things about politics that everyone needs to understand, such as some of the things I'm going to say here today, so I won't even tell you because I'll be giving away my points. But I'm gonna go into more depth about why I would not be a good politician, even though I have some material that could help the masses of people if I had the platform of a politician, even though I have some ideas and frameworks that would help people with that platform, and it would allow my message to reach a whole lot of people. So it might be a good thing if I became a politician for that reason alone. Just the marketing alone, it would be a good thing for me to become a politician. But the reality is, for those of you who don't understand how politics actually work, or those of you who do know how it works, is that you may not quite understand what I'm going to explain here today and tomorrow and the day after. And that's why I'm going to share it, because everything in life has a cost. And just having good ideas, I think I got a lot of good ideas, and positive intentions. I also have positive intentions. Hopefully you agree with me. That is far from being good enough to be a successful politician, especially in the United States of America as our current political system is presently constructed. I'm going to explain and you're going to understand. Point number one, and remember this is the first of a three-part series. Today's topic, once again, is why I am not a politician. Number one, when you are a politician in the United States of America, you have no choice but to lie for a living. When you are a politician in the United States of America, you must lie for a living. L-I-E, lie. You cannot win an election in the United States of America by telling the truth. Okay? Here's the truth. Here's one of many truths that a politician should be telling you, but they can't tell you because if they told you this, they wouldn't win. Again, this is why I'm not a politician. Here it is. Politicians will not save you. I don't care if you are a Democrat or Republican. If you love Trump, you hate Trump. If you are on the right or you're on the left, whatever politician is your favorite politician, politicians will not save you. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, back in 1960, said, ask not what your country can do for you. Instead, ask what you can do for your country. He had the right approach. Now, he didn't keep saying that over and over and over again, because had he said that too much on the campaign trail, he wouldn't have won. All right, just to keep it real. And I would say stuff like that all the time. And that's why I would never win. Now, why would I never win by saying something like that? The way you win elections in the United States of America, especially at the federal level, is by promising things to the voters that you are going to do for them and not telling them they have to do anything. Just vote for me and I'm going to solve all your problems. You just assure them, vote for me, kick your feet up and just wait, and I'm going to do everything for you as the elected official. All right, that's what politicians have to do. That is the long and short of how you win elections in the United States of America, is that you do a better job than your opponent of promising the people that you're going to solve all their problems. That's all it is. Look at the last 5 presidential elections. Trump versus Harris, Trump versus Biden, Trump versus Clinton, Obama versus, who was the second time? Romney, and Obama versus McCain. All 5 of them came down to this. Who did a better job of promising the most people of what you're going to do for them and convincing people of it well enough to get them to go vote for you? That's who wins every election. Every election, that's how it's won. And again, no politician specifically and explicitly says this. They can't explicitly say that because that would put them in some hot water, hotter water than they already end up in. But it's a general idea of what politicians say. Vote for me, I'm going to solve your problems. That's generally what a politician's telling you. And whichever one you believe more, that's the one you vote for. If you believe neither one, maybe you don't vote. If you believe one of them, you go vote for them. This is how all of us choose to vote as well. This is the general idea of what politicians sell. Now, I, as a politician, would never sell you this idea even a little bit. I would not sell you this. Why? Because, first of all, it's not true. That's number one reason why I wouldn't sell it. I will tell you the same things on the pulpit of politics that I tell you right here on the show every day. Is that you need to get your mind right in the right. You need to get your mind in the right place. You need to come up with or plug into a clear strategy, implement systems, and you need to be held accountable in some way, shape, or form for execution of the things that you're doing. In other words, if I was to put all of that into one sentence, take ownership of your situation. You must take ownership of your situation. Now, again, name a politician who you've ever heard say that. You can't name one. You can't name a mayor, a city councilor, a governor of a small state, I guess, or the commissioner of a small town, or a president or a legislator who's ever said anything like what I just said. Take ownership of your situation. Name one who said that on the campaign trail. You can't find any. Again, it would not be my job as the elected politician to solve all of your problems. I would say that. I get on a debate stage and say that. No, there go my polling numbers. It's over. It's over as soon as I say something like that. It is not my job. If I say I'm running for president, I'm running against whoever. Me against Stephen A. Smith. And they say, hey, Mr. Baldwin, what are your plans to solve the problems that Americans feel like they have right now? And I said, well, it ain't my job to solve Americans' problems. It's Americans' job to solve their own problems. You're an adult, right? Okay, it's your job to solve your own problems. What I'm going to do is tell you what you need to do, how to get your mind right, and how to position yourself to solve your own problems. But it ain't my job to solve your problems. If it was that easy for me to just solve all your problems, then I'd be a fucking magician instead of running for politics. I'd make a lot more money. That's what I would say on the debate stage. And again, my career would be over before the debate ended, just because I said that. Again, I would tell people I don't have the time, the energy, nor the resources to solve everybody's problems in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, however long the term is for this office that I'm running for, nor do I want to. I don't want to solve all your problems. Again, if I was that good, why would I be wasting my talent in politics? I'd be in the open market in the entrepreneurship space charging a lot more money for it. If I could do that, shit. Further, if I could solve all your problems, who's going to help you next time you got a problem? The same thing I used to say to basketball players. I would get basketball players emailing me or DMing me back in the day, and they would say, Dre, I really want to get better at basketball, but I'm not motivated this summer to go work on my game. Can you give me some motivation or something to help me mentally to go out there and work on my game every day the way I see you working on your game every day? And I would always answer, no, I can't. Even though technically I could give them something to motivate them very easily. I could point them to some of my videos that I already had out to help them out very easily, but I would always answer, no, I can't help you. And I would tell them why I couldn't help them. Here's the reason why. Because if I'm going to solve your problem of motivation today, who's going to solve your motivation problem next week or the week after that or 3 months from now when you have the same problem again? Well, you just going to keep coming back to me and I'm just motivate you every time? Are you paying me for this? Is this a paid arrangement? If it is, then I'll do it. But if it's not, no, I'm not going to be here to save you every time. It's one of the reasons why I wrote the book The Third Day. Now, that's how you get yourself in a position to do it even when you don't feel like doing it. The point is, if you're coming to me to solve your problems today, who are you going to come to solve your problems tomorrow? Because I ain't going to keep answering the phone. I only got so much charity to give. Again, I would say all this is a person running for office. Would you vote for me? Would you vote for me if I was saying this? And my opponent is telling you all the things they're going to do for you if you just do nothing, just vote for them and solve all your problems. Would you vote for me? Many of you are listening and probably saying yes, but you are a exceptional subset of the population. Most people don't want to be told what they need to do for themselves. They want to be told what's going to be done for them. You understand that, right? Okay, so I don't have the time, the energy, or the resources to solve everybody's problems. I'd rather teach you how to fish than hand you a bunch of fish. Y'all know the proverb. All right, teach a man to fish. Give a man the fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. I'd rather teach you how to fish. The problem is a lot of people don't want to be taught how to fish. They just want you to hand them some damn fish and don't explain anything to me. And with certain work, I want the same thing. When I'm using ChatGPT and I'm asking it to give me some coding material that I can put into one of my automation systems so that things work the way they're supposed to, I don't want ChatGPT to teach me coding. Don't explain to me why you're telling me to copy and paste this. Just tell me the damn code and shut up. I told that. I don't want to be taught how to fish. Just give me the damn code. All right? I do not want to learn how to fish. In some aspects of life, I don't want to learn how to fish. But in other aspects of life, I prefer to be taught how to fish so I can become more self-sufficient. Most Americans don't want to be taught how to fish at all. They just want fish handed to them on a platter every day. And that's why they vote for who they vote for. And that's why the people who end up running are the people who they are. They're just having a competition about who can make the biggest promises, who can sell their promises better than another person. That's it. Who can do a better job of selling promises? Now, whether you follow through on the promises or not is really irrelevant. Because once you win, you won. Now they can kick you out halfway through. Most voters do not want to hear the shit that I'm talking about, which is why I would never win an election. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why I'm not a politician. Number 2, lowercase politics. Lowercase politics. I don't mean governmental. We're talking about the government, but I'm talking about lowercase politics. What is lowercase politics? It is the act of doing things to protect or advance your own personal interests. And when you're in politics, that means doing things such as pretending to like people who you don't like, or pretending to respect people who you don't like or respect. When you're in politics, you have no choice, because it's a big bureaucratic space and you have to operate within it. And you're going to need help and favors from other people at some point. You don't have to like them or respect them, but if you wanted something from them, you better pretend like you do. Otherwise, you can't get anything done. So pretending to like people who you don't like, I personally call that being fake. Some of you may call it being a chameleon or putting on the corporate smile. You can call it that. I'm fine with that. I call it being fake. I don't want to be fake for a living. That's why I won't be in politics. Governmental politics is a highly bureaucratic institution with lots of people, some of them deeply entrenched with lots of influence, and everybody's trying to make their presence felt and make whatever they have to say or what they feel matter in as many ways as possible. It's a big power struggle going on all the time in governmental politics. I don't have a problem with power struggles and interplay between humans. That happens everywhere you go. When you come into a world like politics, you have to learn how to move and how to operate and to navigate the different relationships, egos, cliques, personalities, and everything else that comes with being in an environment where there are a bunch of people working either together or against each other and amongst each other. You got to navigate in this space. It's a highly bureaucratic environment and everybody has an angle. Everybody wants something. Some people like this person, some people don't like that person. You got to know who likes who and what the relationships are before you make a decision as to which way you're going to move, who you're going to stand next to. Because the wrong move can cost you. Now, while I can operate in spaces like these, and I have in the past, I would not do this if I had a choice of whether to do so or not do so. I would choose not to. I would opt out, and I have opted out. If I worked in politics, it is inevitable that there will be some people in there with whom I must engage, but I don't really like them. I don't respect them, and I don't think they should even have the job that they have. I don't even think they are qualified, if you want to use that word, for the positions which they occupy. And every one of you who works in a bureaucratic environment can think of people who fit that description. All right, can you not? People who you don't like, don't respect, and you don't even think they earn their spot. Now, any of you work with anybody who fits one of these 3 things? Every one of you who works in a bureaucratic environment or ever has, you can say yes. You can think of somebody who fit that description. You either didn't like them, didn't respect them, or you don't think they earned their spot. They got it some other way. The difference between me and many other people is that I'm not good at holding these thoughts in and keeping them to myself. I'm not good at not saying them directly to the person who I think about them. If I don't respect somebody, I'll let them know. If I think they didn't earn their spot, I'll let them know. If I think what they're saying is some bullshit and they don't know what they're talking about, I will tell them directly to their face. That's just the type of person I am. Now, if I worked in politics, that would hurt me. It's not like I would get arrested for saying something like that, but whoever I said that to, that person could stop me from getting other things done. And if they know somebody who has the power to stop me, they could let that person know, and there it is. It's blocking my whole situation just because I said the wrong thing to the wrong person. If the right thing is getting my job done, then I got to hold my tongue sometimes and not say what I want to say, because I'd rather that other person feel like I have some respect for them, even though I really don't. But if I let them know I don't have respect for them, if I'm trying to be honest, this is kind of when keeping it real goes wrong. All right. In politics, you don't want to keep it too real. You keep it real, you're going to hurt your own career. How bad do you need that career? In my experience, or in my view, let me put it, not even my experience. In my view, a lot of politicians don't have any better career options besides politics. There's nowhere else in the world where they can replace their salary from being in politics with doing anything else. They don't have any other skills. So they really don't have a choice but to be politicians. I got other skills. I got other choices. So this is why I stay out of bureaucracies. Okay. I like telling people the truth. I like telling people the truth to their faces, whether they like it or not. And when you work in a bureaucratic environment, you can't do that and keep your job. Any of you works in a bureaucratic environment. Any of you work in corporate. Any of you work in the government. Any of you work at a college. You can't just tell people what you think. Are you crazy? Now, if you want to keep your job, you can't. That's a suicide mission, telling people the truth. That is literally impossible. So this is why I stay out of these spaces. All right, from the position that I hold today, I can tell you exactly what I feel about whomever I wish, and there's nothing anybody can do to me from this position. But if I step into a political space, although a federal politician I can't be fired in that way. People can do other things that would hinder my ability to get things done because I'm going to need the cooperation of others. And I can't piss off the wrong people if I actually want them to help me achieve. This would all mean I got to pretend to like people and respect people who I don't like and don't respect. That's a stressful way to live, and I choose not to. Barack Obama, go look at pictures of him when he first got into office and look at the pictures of him when he got out 8 years later. He aged 20 years in 8 years. How did he age so much in 8 years? I'll tell you why. It's not in his genes. It's because he was dealing in a stressful situation. And I bet you part of the stress that Barack Obama dealt with in his 8 years in office, and I'm using him as an example because he looked pretty young when he got in. All the rest of them kind of looked how they looked. Barack Obama looked a whole lot older after his 8 years than anybody else did after 8 years. Donald Trump kind of looks the same. All right, he first got in 2016. It's already been 8 years, and he still looks the same. Bill Clinton, to me, pretty much looked the same. Who was George W. looked the same. Biden, we ain't got to get into Biden. I don't know what he looked like when he got in. Don't know what he look like now. We don't know. Anyway, the reason Barack Obama looked so old after those 8 years is because he dealt with the stress of trying to deal with people who he didn't personally like, and they didn't like him, and he didn't respect, and they didn't respect him. And he had to deal with these people. He had no choice but to deal with them. He wasn't able to get anything done through them, but he still had to deal with them. All right, that's what happens in bureaucracies. This is what happens in corporate America. This is what happens in academia. I stay out of these spaces for this very reason. So people see me, and when they find out my actual age, as of the date of this recording, I'm 43 years of age. I was born in 1982, February 3rd, 1982 to be exact. And people say, man, you look a lot younger. One of the reasons why I look young, folks, is because I avoid stress. I avoid distress. I deal with eustress. I avoid distress. One way to be distressed is to have to deal with people who you don't like and you have no choice but to be around them. People who work in corporate, I got this right. People who work in academia, do I have this right? People who work in colleges, do I have this right? People who work in government, do I have this right? People who work with a bunch of people who you don't even fucking like, but you have to because it's the job, do I have this right? All right, it stresses you dealing with these people. In my line of work, I don't deal with anybody who I don't want to deal with. If I want to deal with you, I ain't dealing with you, period. I won't take your money. No, you can't call me. No, I'll kick you off my email list. I'll kick you out of my live streams. I won't deal with you if I don't want to deal with you, period. That's one way to avoid stress, is to control your environment. And when you work in a place that you don't have complete control over, you might have to deal with some stressful shit and some stressful people. Again, and in order to do that, dealing with people who you don't like, and then you have to somehow, some way feign as if you do like them in order to try to get the job done, that is extremely stressful. That's a lot of load on the brain. Again, look at Barack Obama before and after. You want to see what happens when you got to do that all the time? Go look at President Obama before and after. It's a great example. Okay, I choose not to live in that stress. Number 3, reason why I'm not a politician. First part of a 3-part series. Receiving donor money to fund my campaigns. I don't know if a lot of you know, but when politicians run for office, no matter how rich they are independently, they all use money that is not theirs in order to run for their offices. And if I receive donor money to fund my campaigns, that means I'm going to have to do things in exchange for those people who donated money to me. I got to do things in exchange for their money, because nobody gives something for nothing. Again, third law of economics, ladies and gentlemen, there are no free lunches. Somebody hands you a bag of money, they want something in exchange for that bag of money. They might not want it today, but they want it. And they will come asking for what they want, guaranteed. I don't like anybody feeling as if they own me. Remember, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's an influencer that most of you know. I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to put his business out there. But remember, I was talking to him a few years ago, and we were just talking about how our businesses are set up. And one of the things that he said was, yeah, me and my team, we were working with this company, and they were doing some stuff for us, some marketing for me. But I felt like there was a period where I felt like they owned me. So I had to get out of that deal, and then I had to set up another deal where I had more control over the situation. I don't like feeling like people own me. So I understood exactly what he meant. Like, I felt like they owned me because they were basically, that company was getting a large percentage of the money that he was making was going in their pockets rather than his pocket. And they had much more say over how he did things that he wanted them to have. He felt like he was owned. I mean, they were doing good things. He was making money, but he didn't like the fact that he had given up his independence. So he bought his independence back, and then he set things up so he could be who he wanted to be in his business. I don't like feeling like people own me. I don't ever want to feel that way he described. I don't want to feel like that. My business has never been set up that way. I remember once I signed this contract with a multi-channel network. These are like these companies that basically manage YouTube channels and they get ads for you and stuff like that. And they do all this work for you and get you ad campaigns in exchange for a percentage of your revenue. I worked with a few of them. I remember once I signed a contract with one of these companies and the very next day I regretted the decision. And I went, actually it wasn't the next day, excuse me. It was like about a week into it. I regretted the decision and I told them, I reached out to them and said, I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this deal that I did. I want to get out of the deal. And luckily they were nice enough to let me out of the deal. They said, you got to forfeit the money you made so far. It was like a week's worth of money. I forfeited that week's worth of money and bought my independence back. I don't like feeling like somebody owns me. And if you are a politician taking money from people who fund your campaign, they own you in some way. They don't own you completely, but they do own you in a way that when they call, you got to answer. When they come visit you, you got to take the meeting. Why? Because you took their money. Again, freedom ain't free, folks. And even when a person is noted for having money, Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mitt Romney, they were all known for being rich, right? They still took other people's money to run their campaigns, to pay for their commercials, their advertisements, those little signs that go on people's front yards. They took somebody else's money for that. All that stuff costs money. It ain't free. And they use what in business we call OPM. OPM stands for other people's money. It's a good idea to use other people's money. The trade-off of using other people's money is that there are always strings attached to other people's money. If somebody else is giving you money, they get to tell you what to do and what not to do. And they at least get to have your ear about what to do and what not to do under the threat that if you don't do what they suggest too many times, they pull back their money and they won't give you money again. You might need that money to win your next election. See, this is the problem with politicians, is that a lot of politicians are compromised because they have to do what the people who are giving them money tell them to do. They might not even want to do it. But if the person who funded your campaign, 80% of your campaign dollars came from their pockets, and they say you got to say this, you don't even want to say it. But if you want to keep your job in politics, you have no choice but to say it. Again, Barack Obama, when he came in and when he left, look at the stress. Look at the signs of stress in his appearance between when he got in and when he got out. I'm not saying Barack Obama was compromised in this way. Every politician is compromised in some way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying look at him when he got in, look at him when he got out. That's what happens when you have to deal with this all the time in politics. He's just one example. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. Somebody donates money to my campaign and I end up winning my election. The person who donated me money wants something in exchange for their donation. Guaranteed. There are no exceptions to this. They want me to support a bill or a law or an addendum or some cause that they care about. And while that doesn't seem like such a bad thing, the problem is it's inevitable that somebody's going to donate money to me and want me to go along with something that I personally disagree with. Now, what do? Again, this is where the stress comes in. This is where I'll start looking my age. If I had to do this, if I had to deal with that. If any of you ever watched the confirmation hearings of cabinet members of a president, any president, their cabinet members have confirmation hearings where they sit in front of a committee, a Senate committee, for 3 to 4 hours, and they get grilled by a bunch of questions by people on the committee. Half of them are Democrat, half of them are Republican. Every single one of them. I listened to almost all the confirmation hearings for all the cabinet members for the current President Trump's administration. I listened to all of them. And every single committee member, no matter who the person was being confirmed, whether it was the Department of Homeland Security, whether it's the Health and Human Services, whether it's the Attorney General, whether it's the Director of the FBI, whether it's the Secretary of Defense, every person on the committee who is asking questions of the person who is the appointee to the cabinet, every single one of those committee people was asking for something in exchange for their support or their vote in confirming the person who was going to be in the cabinet. Every single one of them. So you're sitting there in front of a committee of 20 people. Every single one of those 20 people says, okay, if I'm going to vote to support you joining the cabinet, then, hey, here's what I expect you to do for me. I want you to come meet with me. And they would all say that if you listen to the hearings, they would say, hey, I appreciate you coming to meet with me last week to talk about this, that, and the third. And I appreciate that I'll be able to reach out to you and talk to you about making sure that this thing gets done if you are affirmed. If you are confirmed, I want you to do this for me. If you're confirmed, I expect you to take this seriously. Every single one of them has something that they wanted. Every fucking person. This is what you got to do to be in politics. You got to go meet with everybody. who might have something that you need. So you need some confirmation votes to make sure you actually get into the position that the president appointed you for, because there's a system of checks and balances. You got to get enough votes to make sure you actually get the job. Just the president saying that you got the job is not enough. You got to get confirmed, which means you got to go meet with every one of these mofos who want something. You got to promise each one of them you're going to do what they want. And then after you get in, they're going to be calling you like, hey, remember you told me what you were going to do? Okay, now go do it. You can't even get around to doing your fucking job because you got to do all this shit that all these other people want from you because you promised that you would do it. Because that's the only way you can get in the first place. Again, Barack Obama. Look at before and look at him after. This is the kind of stress you got to deal with in politics. Who signs up for this shit? Not me. Who signs up for this? People sign up to do this voluntarily. I don't know why. But again, now you're understanding why when I sign up to do politics. Again, it doesn't seem like such a bad thing. Everybody has a cause. Everybody wants something. I told y'all about this a couple episodes ago. As soon as you get into a position of power, all you get is a bunch of knocks at the door. Everybody wants something. Everybody says, hey, remember that thing you're supposed to do for me? I need you to do this for me. I need you to care about this. I need you to focus on this cause. Everybody wants something. That doesn't seem like such a bad thing to be a person who's so in demand that everybody wants something from you. There is some power in that. Actually, there's a lot of power in that. The problem is, it's inevitable you're going to have to go along with something that you don't want to go along with. Now, what do? Now you done piss somebody off. Now you done made yourself an enemy. Now you got a bunch of people talking shit about you on CNN and on social media because they went and took out of context something that you did or did not do, and they framed it as if you're this terrible person, and you ain't even got time to go respond to it because there's 5 other people on the phone who donated money to your campaign, and they need to talk to you now because they need you to do something for them. And you can't get done anything no matter how hard you try. And again, before and after, President Obama. Just picture it. Go look it up. Look up what he looked like before. Go look like after. All right, that's what happens when you're being stressed like this. And I'm explaining to you where the stress comes from. All these conflicting interests that you have to juggle, and you must juggle them to keep the job. All right, that's how you got the job. By setting yourself up for these conflicting interests. You set yourself up for this by taking the job, by the very nature of the gig. So either you're going to piss some people off because you're not doing what they want to do, or you got to compromise your values. All right, either way, you're getting stressed. You're stressed because you just made some enemies by standing on your values, and they're trashing you now on the internet. And you got a bunch of people who you never met trashing you based on something taken completely out of context. And you ain't got time to set the record straight on every single person talking shit about you in a Facebook comment. Or you got to compromise your values just to keep your position. And you know you compromise your values, so that's stressing you out. All right, now you got to live knowing that you did that. Because somebody who gave you money told you to do it or asked you to do it, and you decided to comply. And again, this is what politicians do every single day. None of them is exempt. I prefer not to play this game. And if you get into politics, understand this is not optional. This is not like you get to choose if you want to do this or not. This is not optional. This is the game. Let's recap today's class. And by the way, this is just part 1. I'm not done. Today, telling you why I'm not a politician. Again, episode 1667, I already explained to you a little bit about why I would fail in politics. Today, I'm telling you why I would not want to get into politics at all that any of you can understand. Number 1, you got to lie for a living. All politicians in America are liars. So you have to lie to be a politician. It's the only way you can win. Number 2, lowercase politics. You got to pretend to like people who you don't like. You got to be fake in a bureaucratic environment. The larger the bureaucracy, the more fake you got to be, because inevitably you're going to run into somebody who you don't like, who you don't respect. You don't even think they earn their position. And you're going to run into people who feel that same way about you. And you got to work with these people. And that's what I call being fake. I don't like being fake. I like telling people what I actually think about them right to their faces, and them not being in a position to do anything about it to me. That's independence. Independence has a cost. And if you don't want to pay the cost of independence, then you got to pay the other cost of being fake and pretending to like people who you don't like. Number 3, receiving donor money to fund my campaigns, which means I got to do things that the donors say. Now I got to listen to these motherfuckers. These people with money who are used to telling people what to do just because they have money to throw around. Now I got to listen to them. Now it's almost like I work for them. They own me because I took their money. As soon as you take somebody's money, they can tell you what to do. That's pretty much how it works. I'm not saying directly, but in many cases, that's pretty much how it works. I don't want to be that. All right. Independence has a cost, folks. Again, you get into politics, you're not independent. All right. Somebody paid for that, and you got to pay back. That's it. We still got 2 more parts to go in this. You thought I was done. No, there's more. There's more reasons why I wouldn't be in politics. Tomorrow we'll get into that. Between now and then, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Get access to me as your coach, and make sure you go to dreallday.com/AI. Get access to my Dre GPT chatbot, asking any question that you would ask me and get a direct answer coming straight from my training and my words as if it came out of my mouth. That's dreallday.com/AI. Those links are down below in the description. Work on your game. Dre all